introduction to operating system. Okay, so like ano bang tawag dito? Like what I promised. No? So today we're gonna have our Q&A. Okay? So I'll be doing a summative discussion. So this is not as detailed discussion as that of the video. Okay? So medyo yung discussion natin dito is something like a summary, no? Okay? So let me do it. Sino na po nakapanood or natapos na yung mga video lectures na to? Medyo mahaba po ang video lectures dito. Okay? And you will encounter a lot of terms that's operating systems. Okay? Now, so our topic is introduction to operating systems. Okay, and let's start with examples of operating systems. What are the examples of operating systems you're familiar with, aside from Microsoft? Okay, so we have here Microsoft Windows. Lahat na ng Windows, Microsoft Windows. Aside from this, what else?
Linux.
Okay, so you have Linux. You have Mac OS. What else? Ano pa yung alam nyo?
Android, sir.
Android is an operating system, yeah? What else?
iOS.
iOS is an operating system. What else?
Unix, sir.
Unix is the oldest operating systems. Next.
Solaris.
Solaris is an operating systems from Sun Microsystems, which is the counterpart of Microsoft during that time, but was acquired by Oracle. Next.
OS, sir.
Sorry?
Cent po.
Ano na ulit?
Cent, sir.
Ah,
CENT.
Okay, CentOS. Okay, what else?
BlackBerry OS.
Raspberry, all right.
BlackBerry.
BlackBerry OS, yes. They have their own OS. Okay. Who else? How about the OS of the Nokia? Do you happen to know?
Symbian.
Okay. It's being controlled by an OS. So also we have what you call the Chrome OS. Okay, another thing from Android, from Google. Okay, so operating system is not just limited to computers or cell phones or gadgets. No, so even appliance nowadays has an operating systems. Now, what do operating systems do, or what is the function of the operating system? Anyone? Para saan ang OS? Anong ginagawa ng OS? Or what is the role or what are the role of operating systems? Based on your experience, anong ginagawa ng OS para sa inyo?
May ano po, sir, unique user interface.
All right, so it provides you an interface. Okay. So it provides an interface to the user. What else? Manage resources, or we call it the resource allocator. Ano pa?
Handling input, sir, tsaka output.
Okay,
Parang-
so yes, we could still say that that is an allocator, or which shall we say, traffic, okay, enforcer sa loob ng system. Enforcer. What else?
Provide service for applications.
Okay, service. Okay, we call it OS services. It provides OS services. What else?
Controlling hardware and software.
Kasama siya sa traffic enforcer or controller. Yan po ang ginagawa ng mga operating system. No? So basically, the operating system provides an interface to the user. And the reality is, okay, so based on the abstract view of a computer there presented on the video, so basically, you've got the hardware. Okay? But we cannot communicate with the hardware directly, right? So it's the operating system who communicates with the hardware. Can you talk directly to the hardware? No. So we have to use the operating systems. Okay? So there is the operating systems there. So that serves as the mediatrix between the user and the hardware. But definitely we cannot talk directly to the operating systems neither. Okay? So the operating systems actually talks with the application. And from the application, that is where the user communicates. So see, so we are 4 levels away from the hardware. So as human, we cannot directly communicate with the hardware. Okay, so unless otherwise you are a robot or something like you are a cyborg and you communicate directly with a printer, with the memory or with the RAM, with the microprocessor, well, you are not human if you do so. Okay? So basically the operating systems communicates directly with the hardware because the operating systems manages both the hardware and the applications. And the user, we just converse with the applications. So that's the abstract view of a computer systems. Now, earlier on, I asked you what are the roles of operating systems. What do operating systems do? Imagine an OS. OS allows us to execute programs. So without an operating systems, you cannot execute programs. So the operating system is just like an engine of a car. You have your car, you have your body, but then there is no engine, which is the operating system. And the control, the pedal, the steering wheel, those are the applications. And of course, the driver is in there. Okay, so that's how we organize things or components on the computer systems. Okay, now a good definition of operating system is it allocates resources. Okay, now in operating systems, we are always talking about resources. So what are the resources in a computer? Happen to know? Based on what you have seen, what are the resources in the computer systems? Basically, your short assessment is based on the video. So if you have listened to the video, then you can answer the short assessment. If not, hindi nyo po masasagot yung short assessment. So you better see the video. Okay? Now, what are the resources are we talking about inside a computer? Take note that one of the duty of the operating system is being a resource allocator. So what are those resources that needs to be shared?
Memory, sir.
Processor.
All right, RAM. What else?
Memory.
Processor po.
Sorry? Ano po?
Processor po.
Okay, processor. So anything that can be shared inside a computer are resources. Okay, storage, processor, RAM, application, files, printers, anything that can be shared is a resource. Okay, and take note, there is what you call, or you will often be heard saying the word process. Okay, process basically is a running program. If the program is not running, if it is just installed on your hard disk and it's not running, that is not considered to be a process. Okay? Process is what you call an active program. When you say active program, this is the program that is currently running. A program could be passive. Okay, what is a passive program? Passive program is a program that is not running. Okay? Now, to view this is actually what operating systems do. Okay? Can you see my screen there?
Yes po, sir.
Okay, ano nakikita nyo?
Task manager po.
Task manager. Okay. So basically, ang ginagawa ng operating system sa computer nyo, makikita nyo sa task manager. Okay, so you simply press Control Alt Delete, you can see the task manager there. If you will see here, these are the resources being shared among components. Okay, the CPU, the memory, the disk, the network, the power usage, and so on. So we have a lot of resources. And right now, I am currently using 18%. Okay, 18%, that's dynamic. Okay, less than 20% of the CPU. I am using 41% of the memory, 1% for the disk. Right now, well, nakikita nyo dyan 0, but then it doesn't mean that 0%, no? So if you will see there that on the network, Google Chrome, which is currently being used for the discussion, live discussion, you have there 0.5 Mbps. And the power utilization of Google Chrome is higher because that is active. No? So I am communicating with you. You are connected to it. So therefore, the power consumption for the application is higher, very high. So if you'll see it there. Okay. Now, those applications that is just running here, okay, and not capable of communicating or not capable of connecting to the applications or somewhere on the servers. So it's low. Okay. So this is, or these are the processes being managed by the operating system. Okay. So what you see there, you've got the apps and then you've got the background processes. So what are those? So actually, there are two types of processes in an operating systems. Okay. So this processes is either, okay, this is a not running program, huh? Ang hirap pala mag-type, not running program. Okay, so there are two types of processes, that's what I'm saying. The first one is a foreground processes, and then the next one is a background process. When you say foreground processes, these are the programs run by the user. Ito po, no? Yung apps na yan, those are foreground processes. Ako ang nag-run yan. Chrome, Edge, Excel, Word, Notepad, and so on. Now, on the background processes, these are the processes or applications run by the operating system. So this might be included as a system file or an auxiliary file. And right now, I am running 76 background processes and 8 foreground processes. So see, one of the job of the operating system is to monitor all the processes running on the system, monitor the utilization of the resources. Okay, if you go to the performance, makikita mo rin dyan, okay, that I have here, okay, so I am running 203 processes all in all, 2,973 plus threads and so on. So all the resources, all the allocations of the resources can be seen here. Now, what do you think will happen if one of these resources reaches 100%?
Mabagal,
Tingin
sir.
nyo, mabagal? Pag may naka-experience na ba kayo ng naka 100% yan?
Yes po, sir.
Ano nangyayari?
Mabagal, sir. Minsan sa laptop ko po, nagka-crash yung laptop ko.
Yes.
Black screen.
Oo. Mag-black screen yan or blue screen. Are you familiar with BSOD?
Yes po, sir.
Ano BSOD?
Blue screen of death.
Yes, the blue screen of death. Ano ibig sabihin niya? Nag-crash, no? Magka-crash talaga yan kasi hindi po kakayanin. No? If the resources is 100% used, other processes who is requesting for that resource cannot be granted. Bakit ba naghahang yung system? Simple lang. Because the process or the program you want to run is requesting a resources hindi maibigay sa kanya. Parang kayo, no? Kung humihingi kayo ng resource sa nanay nyo, halimbawa allowance, at hindi kayo binigyan, definitely hindi kayo makakalis ng bahay. Okay? Ganon din po dyan sa computer systems. So if the process wants to run and the resources that it requested cannot be granted for whatever reason, maybe that resource is allocated to another process, so hindi po siya mag-execute. Okay? Ganyan po ang nangyayari dyan, no? When you run an application, hindi po ganun kadali natatakbo yan. No? When you run the application, when you click the icon or the shortcut button just to run it, basically, mangongolekta muna yan ng resources na kailangan niya. Sasabihin niya sa operating system, kailangan ko ng ganitong amount ng RAM, kailangan ko ng ganitong oras sa CPU, kailangan ko ng ganitong oras sa network, may bibigay mo ba sa akin? Sasabihin ng operating system, sandali, kulang ako ng RAM na may bibigay sa iyo kasi ginagamit ni Photoshop. Now, may i-assign ko sa iyo yan kapag tapos ni Photoshop. So, i-close mo si Photoshop, makukuha mo yung allocation ng memory, ipapasa ko sa iyo. That's how it works. So, napaka-complicated ng ginagawa ng operating systems. Ano? Kung titingnan nyo at i-evaluate nyo, well, wag nyong sapakin yung computer nyo kapag naghahang. Okay? Di ba ganun yung ginagawa ng iba? Ang sarap iwasakin ng computer, no? Ang sarap itapon, di ba? Sabi, ano ba naman to? Napakabagal. Blag. O yung keyboard, no? Okay? Para namang mararamdaman ng computer yon, no? The mere fact na naghahang yung computer mo, you are running out of resources. Alright? So what you can do is to provide more resources on the computer. Well, if you cannot provide it, do not complain. Okay? Because the resources will be managed by the operating systems depending on the availability. Alright? So question so far. Yan po ang coverage nung introduction to operating systems dito. Any questions?
Wala po.
All right. Next, computer system organization. So I guess you are already done with computer architecture, no? So how do we organize a computer systems? Ano ba meron sa computer systems? Okay? So basically, that's what I'm saying, no? Every hardware in a computer is being controlled by a driver. Bumili ka ng printer, kailangan mo ng driver. Bumili ka ng hard disk, ng driver para dyan. Okay? So basically, for instance, I have here a printer. Okay? This printer actually is being driven by a hardware, by drivers, or what we call device drivers. Alam nyo ba yung device drivers? Saan ko makikita yan sa Windows?
Device manager, sir.
Okay, device manager, no? So, pumunta ka sa My Computer. Okay, pindutin mo yung this PC doon, properties. You'll see there, device manager. Okay, there. Lahat ng drivers ng hardware mo, actually lahat ng hardware na nakasaksak sa computer mo, may mga drivers yan. For instance, disk. Ito yung mga drivers nila. Okay? So, yung mga yan. So, isa yan sa minamanage ng operating systems. Okay? And basically, this hardware, including printers, no, it could be any device, meron silang tinatawag na drivers. Yan yung ini-install mo para magamit mo or mapatakbo mo ng tama yung hardware mo. I guess you're familiar with this. Tama? Okay? Now, this device drivers basically does not drive the hardware. No? Meron siya na tinatawag na device controllers. Yung device controllers na yan ang nagko-control dun sa hardware na kinokontrol naman ng device drivers. Okay? So that's how it works. That's how they organize computer components. Alright? So, and these drivers are basically has their own interrupts. So ano ibig sabihin ng interrupt? Pag may ginagawa si CPU at nagkaroon ng error, anong nangyayari? Halimbawa, nagpiprint ka, naubusan ng papel yung printer. Anong napapansin nyo? Anong napapansin nyo pag naubusan ng papel yung printer?
Nagno-notify sa computer, sir.
Yes, nagno-notify. That is an example of interrupt. Okay? Sasabihin niya sa operating system, hoy, wala na akong papel. Okay, si printer, i-relay yan kay operating system. Si operating system, ibabato yan kay application. Si application, ibabato yan sa screen mo. Wala ka ng papel. Wala ng papel yung printer mo. So, anong gagawin mo? Lalagyan mo. Pag nilagyan mo yan, i-resume mo, madedetect yan ni application, ibabato kay operating system, ibabato ulit kay hardware. So, lahat ng devices sa network has an interrupt. Okay? And this interrupt is unique. So, saan ko makikita yan? Halimbawa, no? I have here drives or hard drive. Okay, properties. You'll see there the device type, the manufacturer, the location, and so on. Okay? So, you can populate this. Kung ano meron dyan sa loob, medyo matagal lang. Ayun, ayan. Okay? Yung drivers nandiyan dyan. Okay? The details and so on. Okay? Pero, let's see. Ano ba yung nakikita yung interrupt? The keyboard should have their own interrupt. Bawat device sa network merong interrupt number, no? Or IRQ. We call it interrupt request. Saan ba nakalagay yun? Okay? So, you can see that. Hindi ko alam kung saan na nilagay ng Windows. Dati nakikita yan dito, ano? Minsan, nandoon na sa drive controllers, eh. Or sa mga controllers, yung mga interrupt na yan. Okay, eto yan. Device 26. Pero dapat makita niyo yung mismong IRQ number, no? So, IRQ meaning it is an interrupt request. There. Okay, resources. IRQ 23. That is the interrupt of the keyboard. So, if you run your operating systems at wala siyang na-detect na keyboard, okay, si system mag-i-issue yan ng IRQ 23, no keyboard detected. So, may gagawin si operating system. It's either it notifies you or hindi siya mag-boot kasi nawawala yung kanyang keyboard and mouse, something like that. Okay? So, a computer system or an operating system is an interrupt driven. Okay? OS is interrupt driven. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Kahit may ginagawa si operating systems, kahit busy siya, once this hardware is an interrupt, okay, ititigil niya yung ginagawa niya and address the interrupt. That's how it works. Okay? So kapag yung system nyo magka-crash at nag-cause ka ng interrupt sa processor, ihinto niya ginagawa niya. No? Something like terminated. So paano mag-i-issue si user ng interrupt kay operating system? That is via the control-alt-break or control-break. No? Hihinto yung execution yan. So, pag huminto yung execution, bakit? Sandali, bakit? Anong meron? Saka ka magre-report. Something like that. Okay? So, all operating system are interrupt-driven. Okay? And as what is mentioned on the discussion, no? So, lahat ng peripherals that you connect to your computer, we call them I.O. Okay? I.O. or input-output. And the structure of an I.O., as what I'm saying, is this. Okay? You've got the I.O. device, the hardware, the controller, the device manager, and then the operating systems. Okay, so that's how they're organized. Any question on computer system organization? Questions? Again, the complete discussion, please watch the video. So I just summarize it para maintindihan natin in layman's and in simple possible explanation. Questions so far?
Wala po.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the storage structure. Ano ang pinakamabilis na storage? Okay, so what is the fastest storage? Based doon sa napanood. Sorry?
SSD.
SSD? May mas mabilis pa sa SSD?
M2, sir.
No? Ano yung pinakamabilis? Hindi nyo pa napapanood yata.
Register, sir.
Registers ang pinakamabilis po na storage. Okay? So, are you done with assembly language? Gumagamit kayo ng registers doon, di ba? AX, BX, CX, AL, BH, all those are registers. And it is capable of storing 1 bit of data only, di ba? 1 byte of data, 8 bits. Or it could be 16 bits depending upon the use. If it is AX, that's 16 bits. If it is AL, that's only 8 bits. Okay? Ano yung pinakamabagal na storage? Ano yung pinakamabagal? Based on the hierarchy, storage hierarchy. Anyone? Hey. What is the slowest? The fastest is the register. Ano pinakamabagal?
Sir.
Pinakamabagal is magnetic tapes. Okay, I don't know if you're still familiar with cassette tape or Betamax. Okay, so magnetic tapes basically is the slowest. No? And on the hierarchy, this memory are divided into two. Okay, it's either divided into primary or main memory, which is the RAM, and secondary memory, which pertains to your permanent storage. Okay, so this storage is classified either as volatile or non-volatile. When you say volatile, the storage is temporary, just like your RAM. Okay? Your RAM, kapag may power, nandoon yung data mo. Kapag pinatay mo yung computer mo, all the data on the RAM is gone. Okay? That is an example of volatile memory or RAM, temporary storage. Now, when we talk about non-volatile, okay? Non-volatile meaning permanent. So, yung mga nakasave sa hard disk natin, nakasave sa CD-ROM, nakasave sa electronic disk, all of those are permanent storage. Okay? Now, I am asking you about the hierarchy. Hindi ko makita rito sa video, ano? But then we have, we have what you call storage device hierarchy here. Okay, so the fastest would be registers. That's what I'm saying. The primary storage includes registers, cache, and the main memory. Okay? Saan ko makikita ang registers? Registers are the storage inside the cache. Okay? Now, since you are computer engineering, saan ko makikita yung cache? Sino gumagamit ng cache sa computer? Guys? Or some of you will read it as cache. Okay, who uses it?
RAM, sir, or HDD, SSD storage. Ganun.
When you say cache memory, these are basically the memory inside the CPU. Okay, yung microprocessor nyo, meron po yung sariling memory. No? We call it cache memory. Okay? Di ba nakikita nyo sa mga processor? This processor has L1 cache, L2 cache, or L3 cache. That is a memory local to the microprocessor. Okay? So the main memory is basically being used to run different applications. So the more main memory you have, you can run multiple applications. The amount of memory doesn't pertain to how fast your computer executes instructions. Okay? Common mistakes, okay, ng sinasabi, lalo ng mga technician, ang bagal ng computer ko, mag-update ka ng RAM. That doesn't solve the issue. Okay? Kung mabagal ang computer mo, anong gagawin mo? RAM ba ang dapat i-update?
Storage, sir.
Storage. Ano bang ginagawa ng storage? Para marami kang may store. So it has nothing to do with the speed. Kung gusto mong bumilis yung computer mo, mag-upgrade ka ng processor. Isama mo yung board. Okay? Pero updating a RAM alone doesn't solve the issue. Bakit? Para saan ba ang RAM? Okay? Kapag mas marami kang RAM, mas marami kang applications na ma-open ng sabay-sabay. Okay? Gusto nyo i-test yung computer nyo, i-open nyo lahat ng applications nyo dyan. Tingnan nyo kung kaya nyo i-run. Okay, katulad ko rito, no? I am using right now 41% of my memory. Ilan ba yung RAM ko? Okay? My RAM here is 16 gig. Okay, may natitira pa ako 9.3 gig. So sa dami ng applications na nakikita nyo naka-open, open nyo lahat. No? Open kayo ng Photoshop, ewan ko kung hindi maubusan. Let me open Photoshop. Tingnan nyo kung gaano kalaki yung kinakain ng Photoshop. Okay? Right now, I have the available of 9.2. Let me launch Photoshop here. Okay? Let's see. Paano mangyayari? Nag-open ako ng Photoshop. Ito, sa baba. Kita nyo. Yan. Let me open an image. Lalo na kung medyo malalaking image yan. Okay? Tapos i-edit nyo. See? Ang bilis bumaba. No? Nag 8.9. Open. Lalo na kapag nag-render ka, mauubos lalo yan. Okay? Ano ba in-open ko? I just open the... Ayan. See? So kung mas malaking images yung i-open mo dyan at i-edit mo yan, okay? Try natin. Mauubos yung RAM mo. So the RAM signifies that you can open, okay, more applications, okay, than ever. Okay, so something like, ano ba yung mga malalaking images dito? Itaas nyo ng todo, no? Open ulit tayo. Panibago. File, open. Hindi masyado. PNG lang yun. File, open. Saan ba yung mga Photoshop files dito? Okay? So what I'm saying is, the more applications or the more RAM amount you have, the more applications you can open simultaneously. But then take a look at it. Take a look at it. Nauubos, no? Ang daling makaubos ng RAM ng Photoshop. Samahan mo pa yan ng mga Adobe Premiere na pang-edit ng video, ubos yung RAM mo. Okay? So that's the essence of the RAM. So let me close this. Again, take note, pag nag-close tayo ng application, yung resources mo babalik. Ayan, no? Para magamit ulit ng iba. Nakuha po ba yon? Did you get it?
Yes, po, sir.
So kung meron kayong mga girlfriend, exes, okay, yung mga dito, past, mga exes nyo, anong dapat nyo gawin?
Delete, sir.
No, wag mong i-delete. Bakit mo i-delete? Pakawalan mo para makahanap ng iba. That's the purpose, di ba? Same thing with the operating systems. This is very unselfish. Okay, yung resources na ginamit niya, pag kinlose mo yung application, ibabalik niya. Bakit? Para magamit ng iba. Dapat ganun din ang kaisipan meron tayo. Kasi tayo inaari natin no? Something like, sa akin ka lang. Paano kung namatay ka? Di ba? O paano kung iniwan mo siya? Ano? Hindi siya gagalaw? Hindi siya makaka-move on? Di ba? Dapat may mga hugot na ganon. Di ba? Bakit kayo nag-break? Bakit kayo naghiwalay? Kasi may nakita akong iba So, anong gagawin mo sa kanya? Siyempre, pakawalan ko para makahanap ng iba. That should be the thinking, or that is the thinking of the operating systems. So, lahat ng resource, take note, lahat ng resource na kinukuha niya, pagkatapos niyang gamitin, ibinabalik niya. Napansin niyo, bumalik tayo sa 9.2. So, if I'm going to close other applications there, yung mga applications na gumagamit ng RAM, i-release niya yan para magamit din ng iba. Kaya niyo bang gawin yon? Hindi, di ba? Ganun ang mga tao Possessive. Alright? So, kailangan natin pakawalan. Mag-move on sila para naman, hindi lang naman sa'yo umiikot ang buhay niya. Ayan. Sino mga may hugot na ganyan dyan sa buhay?
Si John Martha.
Diba? Yun yung sinasabi natin, no? So, if we are going to apply the concept of operating system sa buhay natin, well, everything should be peaceful. Okay? Doon mo masasabi na, pwede maging best friends ang exes? Yes. Okay? Yung mga exes, halimbawa, kayong dalawa, kayo ngayon. Pero after 1 year, naghiwalay kayo, may kanya-kanya kayo sariling buhay. Can you be friends? Awkward. Pero on the operating systems, that should be the case. Di ba? So, dapat ganon. No? Pagkagamit mo, i-request mo muna, kung sa tao ligawan mo, nire-request mo Okay? Pag nakuha mo na, at tapos na kayo sa isa't isa, release. Bakit? para naman magamit ng iba. That's resource sharing inside the operating systems. Okay? I-release ko, matanda na to eh. Di ba? Bakit? Sa'yo lang ba umiikot ang buhay niya? No. Alright, yun yung sinasabi natin. Alright. So for the secondary storage, that includes hard disk and non-volatile memory. No? Yung mga flash drives nyo, those are electronic disks, those are secondary storage. And yung tertiary, optical disk, halos wala nang gumagamit to, magnetic tapes. Di ba? Karamihan ngayon, mga thumb drive or electronic disks. So those are the, what do you call it? The examples of memory. Okay? So, take note, yung capacity o yung access time, habang bumibilis, ito yon, yung storage lumiliit. So, take note. Sir, po pwede bang mag-balance yung memory at saka yung aking hard disk? Malabo yun, no? Ang unit ng storage natin ngayon nasa terabytes. Can you imagine kung magkano yung 1 terabyte na RAM? Di ba? Ang mahal nun. Okay? So, malabo, no? So, habang lumalaki yung storage mo, okay? So, bumabagal yung access. Okay? So, mas maliit, mas mabilis. So, that's how it works. All right. Next. There is what you call direct memory access. What is DMA? Direct memory access is that happens when the CPU is not aware about the movement of data from one source to another. Okay? So that is direct memory access. Kasi dapat lahat ng nangyayari sa computer dumadaan sa CPU. But then sobrang bilis minsan ng mga daanan ng data. Okay, so we can move data, for instance, from the hard disk going to another storage without the CPU being aware of it. Okay, so we call it direct memory access or DMA. No? Yeah. So, any questions on the computer storage? Questions? Wala. All right. So, balik po tayo di. Ang pangit pala ng boses ko pag bumabalik. No? Naririnig ko yung boses ko sa background nyo. Pangit. Okay? Bakit gano'n? No? Sinong nagagandahan sa boses niya pag nagsalita sa ganito? Kasi I find myself ang pangit ng boses ko. Kaya I envy those who are speaking on a low-tone voice. May estudyante ako kanina, ang ganda ng boses. Pag nagsasalita siya, low tone, ang ganda pakinggan sa tenga. Pero yung mga boses katulad ko, parang high-pitch na ewan, di ba? Pangit, no? Sakit sa tenga, ewan ko lang sa inyo, no? Kasi pag ako narinig ko boses ko, parang, pangit. Okay. Pero pag kayo naman nagsalita dyan, okay naman. Okay? Pero pag naririnig niyo yung boses nyo, something like, oh, there must be something wrong with it. All right, let's move on. Now, the next topic would be the operating system operation. So as we defined earlier, okay, these are the functions of the operating systems. Okay? So the operating systems basically is capable of doing memory management, okay? File system management. So under memory, nakikita nyo how much memory location or how much memory allocations is being used by the system. Okay? File system management, paano tayo ina-allow ng operating system mag-manage ng file? It allows us to create directory or folders, and within the folders, that's where we store the file. So it allows us to manage our files. That's file system management. Okay, it allows us to create or to put file name. Okay, and this files has their own data type, has their own file types. Something like if it is images, these are the extension. If these are videos, these are the extension. So that's how we organize files. Mass storage management. Paano tayo ina-allow ng operating systems to perform mass storage? It allows you to partition your hard disk. It allows you to format your hard disk. Now, question. What's the difference between partitioning and formatting? Who knows? Computer engineers. Anong difference ng partitioning and formatting?
So yung partition hinahati po, tapos yung formatting inaalis lahat.
So pag nag-partition ako, pwede rin matanggal lahat, di ba?
Sir, hinahati lang yung files. Parang ano,
Hinahati yung files.
parang
Sineseparate.
binatrans-
Yung storage, sir, hinahati sa dalawang ano.
Ano mangyayari sa files kapag nag-partition ako? Ano mangyayari sa files kapag nag-format ako?
Oh, wala, sir.
Oh, parehas lang, di ba? So what's the main difference between the two? Maliban doon sa sinasabi niya, ang partition ng sir hinahati. Okay. Ano ginagawa ng formatting? Oh, come on.
Magkakaroon ng separate, ano sir, separate location po sa partition.
Ay sa formatting?
Ah, nag-iiba ng, pwede po na siyang mag-iba ng type, ng data type. For example, sir,
Alright. So hindi nyo alam. Format kayo ng format. Alam nyo ba ginagawa sa formatting? Ang formatting po is not just deleting files. Okay? Deleting files can also be done using formatting and using partitioning. Kasi pag nag-partition ka, automatic lahat ng laman ng hard disk mo mawawala. Okay, but what's the main difference? Okay. When you say partition, you are going to logically divide your storage. 1 terabyte, hinati mo sa dalawa, 50-50. Okay, so something like tig 400 plus gigabyte, that's partitioning. After mo mag-partition, you have to perform formatting. Para saan? Bakit mo ginagawa yung formatting? Because you need to assign system file. Okay? Or file system, sorry. Baliktad. File system. Because you need to assign file system. Ano yung file system na yan? If you want to install Windows, then your file system should be for Windows, NTFS. Okay? If you want to install OS2, then the file system should be file allocation or FAT. If I'm going to install a Unix in here, then the file system should be UFS, the Unix file system. Now, going back to that, no? So if you can see here, let me click on drive C there, properties, okay? You see there the file system is NTFS. That is being assigned during formatting. Okay? Pagkatapos mo mag-partition, wala ka makikitang file system. You are formatting because you want to assign file system on it. Okay? Yun po ang purpose ng formatting. Hindi po para ma-delete lahat ng files. Kung ma-delete lang lahat ng files, then i-delete mo. You don't need to format or reformat it. Okay? That's the difference between the two. Nakuha? So, that is one of the functionalities under mass storage systems. Okay? Ayan. Next, caching. Ano yung caching? Caching is, if you have heard me saying earlier about the direct memory access, caching is the movement of data from the slower storage systems to a faster, slower storage system. That's what you call caching. Mula dun sa hard disk, papunta sa RAM, that's what you call caching. Mas mabilis kasi yung access sa RAM compared sa hard disk. That's why the microprocessor is directly communicating with the RAM, not on the devices. Okay? Next, we will be talking about protection and security. Okay, as we progresses with the discussion of operating systems, basically your operating systems is equipped with protection and security. Okay, so not even a virus can penetrate on an area of the memory which is being occupied by the operating systems. Sorry, inuubo ako. Okay, so another thing is virtualization. Okay, what is virtualization? The operating systems nowadays will allow you to install virtual machines on it via Hyper-V, or you might want to use a third-party applications like VirtualBox. So that is one of the functionality provided by the operating systems. And also, you've got distributed systems. When you say distributed systems, what comes into your mind? Tingnan ko nga kung alam nyo ang ibig sabihin ng distributed systems. What does it mean in layman's term? Distributed system? It is a LAN. Okay? A local area network is an example of distributed system. A network is a distributed system. Okay? So that's it. Next. Computer systems architecture. I would say on the architecture, so basically your operating system types would depend upon the architecture of your processor. So if you are using a 64-bit microprocessor, then you can use 64-bit operating systems. If you are using a 32-bit microprocessor, then your operating system should be 32-bit. Okay? Sir, can I install a 64-bit OS on a 32-bit microprocessor? What's the answer? Can I install 64-bit on a 32-bit micro? Is that
Hindi
possible?
po compatible, sir.
Yes,
Hindi
hindi
po,
po
sir.
compatible. Hindi ka makaka-install dyan. Okay? Now, balik na rin ko yung tanong. Is it possible to install 32-bit on a 64-bit application?
Yes, sir.
Yes, pwede. Kaya lang, hindi mo, sinayang mo yung resources mo. Okay? Yung processor mo, capable yan ng 64-bit. Bakit mo install ng 32-bit na OS? Di 32-bit lang yung capability niyan, nasayang yung kalahati. That's what I'm saying. If your laptop is 64-bit, then install a 64-bit software on it. Sir, wala po akong 64-bit eh. Pwede na po ba 32? Pwede naman. Kaya lang sayang yung mga resources. Okay? Kalahati yung hindi mo nagagamit. So sayang. Alright? Yun lang po yung sinasabi dyan. Now, a dual processor, dual core, multi-core, physically you only have one processor, but virtually, there are lots of processors inside. So, virtually or logically, that happens. Anong advantage nun? Mas mapapabilis mo yung systems. Take note that nowadays, we are leading to virtualization. Something like I only have one hardware here, and this could generate 10 virtual machines, something like that. Okay, so that is where the multiple cores comes in. When you virtualize the environment, dun po nagiging significant yung multi-core. Alright? Okay, next. The last one would be the computing environment. So, anong meron sa computing environment? You've got the traditional computing. Ano yung traditional computing? Tawag nila dyan, sneakernet. No? Kung gusto mong ilipat or i-move yung file from one computer to the other, kumuha ka ng flash drive or diskette, lagay mo doon, save mo sa kabila. That was the old days. So nowadays, we are using a client server, okay, or even mobile-based, peer-to-peer. What is peer-to-peer? No, you are on the same level. You are connecting and accessing resources on the same level. Cloud computing is a trend nowadays. Okay, so minimizing the resources or the hardware and maximizing the capability of the system. So real-time systems are basically used in medicines. No, kadalasan yung mga 2D echo, ultrasound, CT scan, yung mga yan, that's a real-time systems. No? So pag sinalang ka dyan, kita yung laman ng loob ng katawan mo. That's a real-time systems. So there are some delays there. Real-time systems are basically applied in medicines. Nandun yan. Okay? And next, there are free operating systems, free applications. Okay? So just like the Ubuntu is a free OS. LibreOffice, if you have heard of it, is a free application. Okay? So just like Star Office. Ayan. Pero Microsoft Office, it's not. It's for a fee. It's not for free. It's for a fee. Okay? So, that's my summative discussions. Are there any questions? Questions? Hello? Guys, may katanungan po ba?
Wala po, sir.
Ah,
po.
I know our class falls on the siesta period. Okay, you know what I mean? Aantukin talaga kayo, no? Well, anyway, So kung walang questions, so please be ready for the short assessment next week. So mag-start na po tayo. Lahat po ba nakapasok na sa Moodle? Dito po tayo mag-exam sa Moodle. May notification. May notification. Ang bagal, oh.
Bagal talaga model, sir. Kahit po sa amin.
Sa inyo rin, ganito. Good luck sa atin, ano? Pag nagpa-exam ako rito, good luck talaga. Patay tayo dyan, no? Pero tingnan natin, guys, no? Nag-exam na ba kayo sa Moodle, sa ibang subject?
Yes,
Naranasan
sir.
nyo na? O, kumusta?
Kanina po, sir.
Kumusta?
Bagal.
Kaya naubos time namin nung
Naubos yung time, hindi pa hindi natapos yung exam. Ganun ba?
Yes, sir.
Mas matagal pala po
Kaya
yung sir.
bagal ng model, sir.
Disaster
Pag
solution.
next naglo-loading lang.
Sir, 10 minutes, 5 items.
Ayun lang. Nak. Hindi pala uubra rin dito yung style ko na may oras, ano? Yung, kasi nagpapa-exam ako na may oras. Alam mo, okay, the exam is good only for 10 minutes. Submit mo yan, no? Sa Google Forms. Mabilis.
Doon na lang, sir.
Kaso baka ma-memohan tayo, no? Kailangan natin gamitin to eh. So let's see. Kapag ganyan kabagal yan, hindi ako magpapa-exam dyan. Pero yung mga submission siguro pwede dyan, ano? Pero yung exam, tingnan nyo, oh. Magtitingin lang ako ng notification kasi may, good luck, 10 years. Let's see. So let's give it a try on Saturday. Kung anong mangyayari. Sige, hindi ko muna orasan. Open time muna tayo, pero tingnan natin kung anong mangyayari dyan. Pero kapag toxic yung experience dyan, like what you have said, no? So I would rather move it on Google Forms. Ayun, ano yung lumabas? Students at risk. Bakit? Ano students at risk? What do you mean? Students at risk? All right. So, are there any questions, guys?
None po, sir.
Okay, so
Wala na po, sir.
baka po may latecomers dyan. Alano, are you here? Borromeo?
Present po, sir.
Alano?
Alano.
Borromeo? Borromeo? Darong? Lanuevo? Wala. So, si Alano lang. Okay. Guys, again, please prepare for a short assessment next meeting regarding topic 1. No? And also, on Tuesday, I am going to activate ano to? Nice de Guzman. Bakit? Hindi siya pumapasok. Accept. Hindi pa rin. Kanina pumasok ko sa klase ko. Nakahapon. Hindi siya naka-enroll yata sa system. Well, anyway. So, ayun po. So, please keep posted on Tuesday for the lecture. Maybe I'm going to create. May Facebook group na ba tayo? Ang hirap dito, no? Nagahang. May Facebook group tayo? Wala pa.
Wala pa po ata, sir.
Okay, so maglalagay po ako ng group. Gawin ko na nga. Habang naka-online kayo. Para tingnan natin, no? Kapag, if it comes to worse, alright. So, at least we are ready. Okay. Hirap ng ganito. Okay, gagawa po ako ng group dito. Pumasok po kayo sa loob. Group. Create new group. Ano ba tayo? 2021 first semester. Anong klase natin? Anong section nyo? Anong klase nyo? Subject code, please.
CPE 302.
P302, 50, 0351. Okay. CPE 302, 15. 15 ba? O3, 501.